an NBC10 I-Team exclusive.
I felt like my life was in danger. That's what brought me to the point of getting a restraining order.
Thousands of abuse victims seek restraining orders every year, but an outdated system means some abusers can slip through the cracks. The NBC10 I-Team uncovered a dangerous problem with Rhode Island's safety net.
All right, Katie Davis has been tracking this for years now. She has the exclusive investigation from Providence tonight.
If you're in fear for your safety, you can come here to court and get a temporary restraining order. But once you leave the courtroom, it's not valid until it's served on the other person. Some victims told the NBC10 I-Team that process can sometimes take weeks, putting them and their families at risk.
He was my first boyfriend, my first love.
It started when she was just 16 years old, a high school relationship that turned violent.
I felt like my life was actually in danger.
This young woman, who we're calling Gina to protect her safety, spoke out to the NBC10 I-Team about the moment she knew she needed a restraining order.
I honestly felt like I was going to die that night.
Gina is one of 3,000 women and men who are granted protective orders in Rhode Island courts each year. But the NBC10 I-Team uncovered some serious holes in this safety net for victims. I started investigating after an NBC10 viewer reached out to the I-Team. She came to court and was granted a restraining order protecting herself and her child. But what happened next left her in fear for her life. When the man showed up at her home and her child's daycare, police told her they couldn't arrest him. Even though it was more than a week after she went to court, sheriff's deputies hadn't yet served the restraining order. I sat down with Rhode Island's chief sheriff to ask why. What happened?
Well, that was a misfiling on our part, and we apologize to her for that.
She said she was in fear for her life. Is that fair to her?
It's not fair to her. I mean, like I said, these missteps happen every so often. Thankfully, they don't happen a lot.
Maybe not a lot. But the I-Team learned the delay in that woman's case wasn't an isolated fluke. I dug through more than 200 cases of alleged abuse filed in July and August. I found more than 40 instances where alleged victims waited 7 days or longer before their restraining orders were served. The sheriff's department says a big part of the delay in those cases is due to the court process. It often takes several days before the paperwork reaches deputies. Plus, restraining orders are only served on business days, not on weekends or holidays.
The average number of days it takes us from receipt to service is about 4 days. That's, in my opinion, not that bad. I'm sure to the plaintiff in the case, that seems like an eternity. I get that.
Statewide, 5 sheriff's deputies must serve more than 12,000 court documents each year. That includes all 3,000 restraining orders. Break it down, that's 200 documents for each deputy every month.
They're busy. I would not tell you that they have any downtime.
It may be 2016, but the entire system still operates on paper. A paper copy of every restraining order is transported from each courthouse to sheriff's headquarters. That can add an additional day before deputies start trying to make service.
We're talking about 12,000 pieces of paper that physically come to you a year.
There's always room for improvement.
Calls for improvement to Rhode Island's system began in 2013 after 2 women were murdered in Johnston by a man with a history of violence. In that case, one of the victims had a restraining order against her killer, but the paperwork was never served. I'll take a closer look at what's changed in the 3 years since. That's tonight at 11. I'm I-Team reporter Katie Davis, NBC10 News.